Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the Goalpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Spaeth. And today, my guest, Cathy Cury, and I are talking about running on fumes and why your ambition is outpacing your energy. So, Cathy Cury is a national board certified health and wellness coach and certified functional medicine health coach who burned out not just once, but twice. First as a teacher, and then across 20 years as a professional chef. Now she helps driven professionals 40 plus close the gap between their ambition and their energy. She's the founder of Method 52, the 52-week program that builds small weekly habit changes to create lasting transformation that fits your real life. Love it. Cathy, thank you so much for being my guest on the Goalpreneur podcast. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. Awesome. Let's talk about running on fumes. I'm pretty confident and you know very well about that, seeing as how you were chef on private and chartered yachts. Let's talk about that.
Yes, yes. Well, I was a chef for 10 years on yachts, 20 years total. But so the work on yachts is something that sounds very glamorous, and it is. You get to be in the most beautiful places. I've traveled to more than 55 countries. I've cooked on 4 continents. I've traveled a lot and I've gotten to see a lot. And all of that comes with a price, right? You make good money, but you also put a big toll on your body and your mind and your spirit. I would say that that was the beginning of me. I was young then. I was from 28 to 38 years old, 39 years old. So I had a lot of that stamina, but also one thing that you are pushed in when it comes to being a chef and definitely on yachts is you say yes all the time. You say yes without even considering whether yes is smart, if it's efficient, if it's going to produce the results that they're actually asking for. You just say yes and figure it out. And I think that's one of the biggest and worst habits that I created as a chef was to say yes now and figure it out later.
Mm,
So, I mean, there's a lot. There's so many things that we could talk about when it comes to how does one go from being this, in this exotic, incredible environment to being someone that, is a fraction of their self. That's kind of what
yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I would think that working in that type of environment, like it's a go, go, go type environment. You have no time for yourself. And like you said, it's just a yes, yes, yes thing. There's no time to think about anything. What was your realization like, this isn't sustainable? I can't do this.
I think that especially in your 30s and your 20s. I think that it's those are types of things that you think, oh, I just need a long weekend. If I just had a few days of vacation, I would be better. Right. And I think what happens, and I didn't realize this at the time, is that I could keep coming back. Like if when the charter guest got off, it was a work hard, play hard. So you would work really hard, you would destroy yourself going out partying or whatever. Then you'd have a few days to like get back into your zone, and then you would do it again over and over again for months. But the thing is that when you're young, you're not realizing that the toll is being taken little by little. There's, the book, The Body Keeps the Score, isn't something that is on your radar at all. You're like, I'm invincible and I will live forever and I'm just a cut above the rest. So I can't say that I understood that in yachting. There was a time where you're like, okay, it's time for me to maybe do something else. I want to have children. I want to, have a family. I fell in love and got married and all of those things. And then you're like, okay, well, now I'll transition to cooking on land, thinking that, that intensity is going to be different than it is on land. And what I realize is it's less about, I mean, the industry definitely encourages it, but it really is a personal choice that I then created a pattern of how I do things. So I didn't learn the lessons while working in yachts. To me, it was like, I work 102 days straight without a day off. And, you're just like, pat yourself on the back. And you don't realize that I'm like ruining my hormones or that
Yeah.
I'm aging my cells or my skin or any of that. You just think I can do if I can do this, I can do anything.
Yeah. It's like the high bar. It's like that's what you measure everything else against, but you don't really realize like how much you're destroying your nervous system and your mental health and your body until it's almost too late.
Yes.
So
Yes.
with the Method 52, it's a 52-week program. When did you get the idea for that?
So I transitioned out of being a professional chef during COVID. I was a catering manager of a high volume catering company and the executive chef. So basically built the company up from, zero to over $1 million a year in sales over a 5 year period of time. So it was a very short period of time that we expanded, and then COVID hit, and it's sort of like all of that go suddenly, you know, threw you out, like after all of the effort. And it was, the mental health aspect of that was so severe, and then the physical aspect of all the people that were affected by COVID, my family included. It suddenly was like, what am I even doing? What is this, like, this style of living and working? What am I even accomplishing by doing this? And so I went back to school and I became a certified functional medicine coach, which focuses on your entire system, not your fitness or your say, a chronic condition or your nervous system, but it focuses on you as a whole, which is my way of thinking. Like, it's a systemic way of thinking, not just a one directional way of thinking.
Right.
So with that, though, I started out with what a lot of people do, which is like the 30-day resets or the 6-week elimination diets and the, real extreme things that, my participants were found results, like, did create change, because the old adage, I can do anything for 6 weeks. I can do anything for 3 weeks. But the thing with that is that they haven't changed their habits. They've just dabbled in it and they're like, yeah, I can do that. I did that. And then they go right back to or they slide back into their old habits. I did
Yeah.
that for several years, and I just realized that it's not because they don't want to, or they're not motivated, or they don't have the willpower. It's simply that they don't create you need to create this structure around change. It's not about, if you're focusing on your willpower, that only works when everything's going right. When you're relaxed, when you've slept, when you're not fighting with your spouse, when work is easy, that's when willpower is like something that, January 1st, it's like, I can do that because I just had 2 weeks off, right?
Mhm.
So you're calm and you think, okay, well, I'm not going to drink alcohol for a month or whatever it is that you choose. But what I was realizing is that if you really want transformational change that's going to last a lifetime, it has to fit your real life. It has to be real. It has to fit the rainy days, right? It can't be like, when I'm pumped because I want to get into my bikini. It has to be because, like, something boring, like I need to walk even when it's raining, or I need to eat my vegetables even when the mac and cheese is staring at me. So you have to create a system that reduces friction, that fits with your real life. And so, not to be a monologue here, but the reason why I chose Method 52 is because I want year-round transformation. I'm done with the idea that I'm going to change I can affect your blood sugar and I can affect your body fat percentage in weeks. I really can. Like, it's phenomenal how much that I can get your body fat to go down in a short period of time. However, what's the point of that if, once we're no longer working together, or once you have finished the program, you slide back? It's 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 a vanity measure,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So Method 52, it fits with your real life. It's broken down into such incremental steps that you choose, not that I choose for you, so that it fits with your lifestyle. It fits with your preferences, your learning style, your family. It has to fit within all those things for it to truly work.
Right. I think that with, like, when you're talking about the New Year's Eve, the resolution people January 1st, like you said, I can do anything for 30 days or 60 days. But then typically people just slide right back into their old habits because they have not made that change, that transformation personal. They haven't done the mindset work, which I'm a big believer in. Um, and it's just like they just go through the steps, right? They just go
Right.
through the steps, and then it's like they stop working with you, or they stop the program, or they come to the end, and it's just like they kind of dismiss all the work that they did, and it's just like, I'm going to go back to what I normally do.
Yeah, I
And then
think
it's
that,
just like, it's a cycle. It really is a cycle.
and well, I think two things. For one, I think part of that mindset piece is that we say, I'm going to say stop drinking, or I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day for the month of January. And they keep track of it and they're super excited about it. But after that, they either move on to the next thing, or if they faltered at all, then they just slide back, oh, well, I don't have the willpower. I don't like their shoulders shrug. The body
Yes.
language is like, it's a character flaw. Like, I just can't, I always am going to choose the chips or whatever it is that's they are choosing to focus on is what's holding them back.
Hmm.
And I think the mindset shift that I really appreciate is when someone can go from saying, I like to run or I go running on every Tuesday to say, I'm a runner. Because there's a huge difference between saying I run and I'm a runner. It's become part of them. So
Mm.
when it comes to habit change or when it comes to whatever it is, like sleep, for example, is exponential improvement in all of the things if you can dial in your sleep, right? To
Hmm.
say that someone's like, I'm someone that goes to bed at 10 every night, like I'm someone that's consistent with my sleep, is different than saying, like, well, I try to go to sleep, I go to sleep this time, that time, the tone of the voice, the conviction is different. And so if you can embody the change in your words, even before the habit's completely stuck, you automatically lean towards the choices that align with that habit change and that value.
Love it. Yeah, yeah. One thing that I've noticed is, I used to do too, totally guilty. I'm trying. I try to go to bed at a decent hour. I try to work out 3 days a week. I try to do this. And my son, he's 15 and he's playing hockey at a prep school up in Boston. He goes, "Yeah, I'll try to score some goals today." I said, and I've told him this, I've reminded myself this, and I've told other people that I've worked with. I said, there is no try in your language from here on out, because that, when you say try, it leaves the door for failure open, just a crack. And then it's like making that excuse. So I'm like, don't say try, say I will. I think that leads to better success versus I try. I try to do this.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to, if you're talking about habit change in that context, the thing with sleeping at a certain time is you have to create the structure to make that sleep at that time without friction. Because if every night you're deciding, like, am I going to go to bed at 10 or am I going to go to bed at 11? Like, what am I doing? Or you just let it kind of unfold however the night goes, then you're not creating a sort of consistency in that. And that's what your nervous system loves, right? So I mean, you hear about sleep hygiene or sleep architecture, which is the idea that, you create the steps that you're going to take to get to bed. Similar to a lot of people unconsciously do that in the morning, which we could also talk about. But, the idea that you get up, you brush your teeth, you drink water, there's steps that people do without thinking. But for some reason, the nighttime, we always just leave it to sort of like, well, let's see how it like comes together. And it unfortunately, it backfires over time.
Yeah. So the steps that you're talking about in the morning are, I call them non-negotiables. It's just
Mhm.
something that it becomes a habit. It's just something that's a part of you that you do without thinking. And then at night, what do you suggest? What do you suggest doing for people that are in that mindset of, should I go to bed at that time? Should I not? What should I do? I could do
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah. So I think that there are a lot of different things that you can do to help prepare yourself to sleep, right? And I think that we get so caught up in how many different choices there are that we're like, well, I can't, like, that's just a lot of change, right? And so the way that Method 52 works is like, it's rather than saying we're going to change the entire way the 2 hours are before you go to bed, because ideally that's what you would do. You'd start winding down 2 hours before. But if you're starting
2.
from a place, at least an hour, but an hour to 2 hours before. And that's little things like dim the lights, use blue blocker glasses if you are looking at screens, things like that, 2 hours in advance. It ramps up as you get to more like an hour before you are going to get into your bed, just to prepare your nervous system, your brain to get ready for bed. But as someone that's just right now, like making choices every day, consciously or unconsciously, of when they're going to go to sleep, the very first thing you could do is say, okay, I'm going to go to sleep at whatever, within 30 minutes this time. So I myself, I am in bed with the lights out by 10 p.m. every night, non-negotiable. I mean, obviously things come up and you don't have to be perfect for this to work. But the idea is that you pick a one tiny step that is going to work for you. And so might be consistency to start with. I'm just going to try for Monday through or Sunday through Thursday, be consistent. I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. lights out. And you just do that until that is like something you do. And if it's like 9:30 and you're not already thinking about bed, then it suddenly feels like something's off. And
Mhm.
similar to brushing your teeth, like in general, by adulthood, people don't walk out the door without brushing their teeth, because if they did, they would suddenly feel like something's completely off. And that's sort of the concept. So start with consistency. Like just try within 30 minutes to be in bed by that time. As that becomes easier, then you can add things like screens off an hour before bed. There's no screens at all. Maybe you can read a book, you can do yoga, you can write down all the things that stressed you out that day. Like there's lots of things that you can do to help prepare you mentally for bed. But maybe step 2 is just simply no screens, no Netflix, no Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, for an
Yeah.
hour before you go to bed. And so each time you add something, once it becomes comfortable, you're going to start to notice the difference in your sleep quality and quantity, because your consistency is going to help you have a better sleep rhythm. And so as you're doing that, then it's just, okay, well, what's the next level? Well, I'm not going to eat anything heavy, within 3 hours of sleeping, or I'm
Mhm.
not going to drink any alcohol within 4 hours of sleeping. But you don't do all of those at once, because that becomes such a chore that you're like, I can't keep track of all of it. So you just focus on one small step in the right
Yeah.
direction.
I love that you said that one small step, one micro step. Programs that I've done in the past, it was just like they expected me to implement all of these changes at once. Now for me, that was like, uh-uh. That was scary. It just seemed very overwhelming. But I created something myself that I had been doing for a couple months, and it was just doing little changes. And then once I'm comfortable with that, it's usually about 3, 4 weeks later, then I implement something else. So it kind of goes along with what you're talking about, just those micro steps. And
That's
that way
exactly
it
right.
helps become a habit, becomes a part of who you are, what you do. You don't have to think about it or argue in your mind about it. But I mean, there are some people, it's like, just tell me everything that I have to change, tell me everything that I have to do, I'll do it.
Yes, people say that all the time. But the reality is you cannot
Really?
do it. That's not how change happens, right? You can't. It's a very rare person that will take all of your steps and be able to accomplish it long term. Like they can do it for a week, 3 weeks, a month. But if they haven't created, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons when that won't work. Like people travel for work, the kids have events. It's raining, it's snowing, your emotions are up and down, workload changes. The idea that someone says that when they're motivated because they're feeling the pain enough that they're like, I will do anything to make this pain stop. But as soon as some of those things are working and the pain's a little less, then suddenly the filter is a little bit harder to filter through. So it's not that's where they talk about motivation or discipline, because suddenly, when things ease up a little bit, they're like, they relax because it
Mhm.
hasn't stuck. So even people that are like, just tell me all the things, I'm going to do it all right now. The method will pull you back and say, okay, you might be in the advanced stage of this habit because of different variables, but let's slow this down into, then you do the SMART goals. Like what exactly can you commit to? What resources would you need? How will this work within your work, family, and social environment? Right. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, I guess I do have activities 4 nights this week. I don't know if I can really go to bed by 10.
Mhm. I'm just writing down some notes just so I don't forget it. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. Remind us again how long you've been coaching. When did you start Method 52?
So 2022 was when I started coaching.
Okay. All right. And since then, what has been, or can you think of one specific person, the biggest transformation that you saw? That at first you were like, this might seem like an uphill battle, but the transformation at the end was just amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that a lot of the person that comes to mind, I have two people that come to mind. They're both men, which is surprising. That's a whole nother conversation in terms of the difference between coaching men and women in their 40s to their 60s, because they're very different. They're very different. But so I had a male who was 45 years old, and he came with pretty strong, like quite a bit overweight, high body fat. I'm not going to remember any of these numbers, but high body fat percentage. He remembered what it was like to be an athlete. Those days were long ago memories, sedentary lifestyle, poor hydration, not overly poor appetite or diet. He was eating sort of meat and potatoes kind of a thing. So in his mind, it was grass fed beef, which is, you know, if you're going to eat it, that's the best. So as far as the protein choices he was making, they're great. They make everything from scratch. But at the same time, if you're not paying attention to your biology, you start to gain weight, your hormones start to slip as you get into your phase, your stress, your sleep cause your blood sugar regulation to be off. So he had just been gaining weight, gaining weight, gaining weight. He was someone that was sort of like, I could do all of these things right now. This was back during my elimination, but then, add things back in over 12 weeks. And the biggest transformations, obviously the body fat was incredible. He lost like 25 pounds in 6 weeks. And yeah, no, it was a lot but the big transformation was less about the weight. Although that's vanity wise, you're like, oh, like I'm starting to
That's
see,
huge.
I'm starting to
That's
see
huge.
muscles.
Yeah.
But what struck me is more that his brain, that when he talked about the brain clarity aspect of the changes and the quality of his sleep was already decent. The actual consistency was good, but the quality got better. And he started adding all those little things to make the energy and the brain capacity come back. And as someone that's running a company, once you get in your 40s, if you're an ambitious person that's like an entrepreneur, or you're a CEO, or a C-suite, or you're a rising star, right? If your brain capacity starts to falter, all of a sudden you get very self-conscious about your decisions, about you second guess things that you never second guessed before. And so to listen to him talk about that was probably for me more rewarding, because those are the soft things that people don't talk about as much. They always talk about the weight loss or the fat loss, which I'm not saying that's not important. It is. But for busy professionals in their 50s plus, for them to change their lifestyle and improve their brain capacity, improve their ability to think straight, make decisions,
Yeah.
stay throughout the day without having to use coffee to have the end of their day be productive, that for me really stuck. And is a big part of when I work with corporations, is that piece, that energy piece and the brain capacity piece
Hmm.
of what I do.
Do you feel like when you were coaching people that it was like you had to constantly remind them, like, it's a process, trust the process? Because, I mean, we like immediate results. We want to do something and we want results like yesterday. So do you
Yes.
find that you're having to remind them, like, it's okay. Everybody works at their own pace. You're going to achieve different milestones at your own time, but it's a process.
I do think part of the magic of Method 52 is because it's broken down into such small pieces, there is success every week. I think that when I focused more on, let's do your blood work on the month 1, and then we're going to do your blood work on month 4, I definitely had some that really improved their numbers. If you have a complicated case and their numbers don't improve as much, and they just really want so badly for those numbers to be improved, then there can be not just a disappointment, but there can also be a negative self-reflection, as if somehow it's their fault
Hmm.
that their numbers aren't moving. A big aspect of breaking it down into successful, smaller goals is that you focus on the goal accomplishment and the goal addition and the reflection of what that means for where you're going. So you get positive feedback in much shorter intervals, which is important. But then you also, with the concept of habit stacking, you're compounding the results in a way that you feel it. Part of it has to do with creating better mechanisms for reflection, and part of it has to do with adjusting for these numbers to just be a moment in time versus a character assessment.
Yeah. Moment in time instead of a character assessment. That's good. It's a snapshot.
Right. It's just data. And, we can't be scared of the data. A lot of people are, and they don't get testing done because they don't want to know what their numbers truly say.
Yeah.
But knowing them and then being kind with how much it takes for the numbers to adjust, depending on, it takes a long time to create the disease, or it takes a long time to create how we're feeling today. Even if you've got no disease, you just are feeling off. It takes a long time to get there. It's not an overnight thing. So breaking down how to get back to yourself or become a better version of yourself takes time.
It does. It does. That's something to reiterate. It is a time process.
Mm-hmm.
Like what they say with women that are pregnant, you didn't gain that weight overnight. You gained it over 9 months. It's going to take a little bit to peel it off.
Right.
But I think that's something that just needs to be repeated because of the age that we're living in. Immediate satisfaction, immediate
Right.
gratification. So along with blood work, what other types of tests do you use to gauge the data?
I have to admit, blood work's my favorite. I mean, I think that
Really?
and I mean like a very comprehensive blood work. Yes, because I want to understand what's happening. I work with wonderful functional medicine doctors and practitioners. So getting a sense of, a lot of times people get their blood work back and see they're basic and they're told they're fine or they're in range. So they're fine, but they don't feel fine. And if you look at comprehensively at blood work, a functional medicine doctor can say, okay, well, I see this is elevated here, this is lower here, this here. And when you look at those different organ systems, it makes sense that you're feeling fatigued or pain or whatever because, you're inflamed or you're dehydrated or you're not absorbing protein. Like they can see that through numbers.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites just because it's how our organs are interacting with each other to create health or to give us a warning signal that things aren't going the right direction.
Right.
But other than that, we've used, I mean, obviously people love doing things like bod pods where they can see their body fat to the muscle ratio. For certain people, they like to be able to see the improvement in the lower body fat and increased muscle mass. And then on my vitality quiz, it's an index that we created that basically goes through the 5 pillars of health, which are, we have sleep, stress, movement, relationships, and nutrition. And so across those 5 pillars, as you answer questions about your lived experience, it gives you a sense of which pillars are you struggling with and where it's showing up or why is it showing up. So I use that as a beginning assessment, and then I use it periodically throughout the year so that people can see the improvements in those areas and how they interact.
I will be taking the quiz after the podcast. I wish I would have done it before. And I did not have time, unfortunately, but I would have liked to know. So you and I could have chatted about that, but I will be taking it afterwards. And that's on method52.com/quiz. I wanted to ask you though, because I don't remember specifically what you were talking about earlier, but a lot of people say just you need more willpower, you need more motivation, you need more inspiration. Sometimes it's not about that. Like people can be motivated and they can have the drive, the willpower to do it, but there is a missing gap. I know what it was for me. What do you say about that?
Well, so for me, I actually don't. I know that we like to talk about willpower because again, it's like a character assessment. I've got a lot of willpower. I'm very disciplined, but the reality is that much in the way that Method 52 is created is that it's systems that create change, not your willpower. Your willpower will go out the window as soon as stress happens, as soon as you miss sleep, as soon as you are stuck in an airport for 48 hours because of weather. All of that willpower goes out the window when you see the bag of chips on your countertop. It's not about willpower. It's about the fact that you have bags of chips all over your countertop or cookies that are right in your front of your face every time you come home tired, stressed, and hungry. So for me, I understand the appeal of willpower, and it is a very attractive word to say, but it's not what helps you maintain or transform long term. It's fickle, it's unreliable, It's managed in the prefrontal cortex, which is as soon as stress or difficulties come into play, your fight or flight system is going to go, not focus on the prefrontal cortex. It's going to go right to your survival, and
Yeah.
all your willpower is out the window. So it's all about systems. I know that's not like my system is so Method 52 is a very simple concept. It is not complicated. It's just, it's systematic. It's week by week. It builds compounds, and you feel it in action. And what is awesome about that concept is that it's not painful, because you're reducing friction so that the healthy choice is the easy choice, as opposed to hoping willpower is going to make you choose the best choice when all the things are stacked against you.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes when people say something is going to give them the result that they want, the success or the transformation that they're wanting, like it needs to be super sexy in visuals and approach, and it doesn't. Sometimes the most simple and easiest laid out plans, it might be a little bit more time consuming, might take a little bit longer, but that's, in my opinion, that's what's going to get you to your goal heck of a lot faster than something that's super sexy and super juicy and has all the appeal. And within the 60 days or 90 days, whatever it is, you're back to square one and you're starting over. So
Right. Like,
sometimes the best path is a little bit longer and it's simple. Simplicity.
yeah,
Simplicity wins.
I would say that the Method 52 is just, it's a life. It's not a, you know what I mean? So you're reducing friction, you're creating systems, you are rebuilding your life one week at a time. And I think that why it's so appealing to busy professionals that are over 40 is that they've started and stopped, and they've started over so many times. They're like, I don't have time, energy, or, the bandwidth to start
Hmm.
over 6 times this
Yeah.
year. I want to start over once. I want it to fit with my real life, and I want to change forever. Done.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I'm doing.
Yep. I think people make it a lot harder in their mind. Like it's almost like they force themselves to see a path that is easy, like Method 52, simple micro steps each week, and they turn it into something so complicated. They feel like it needs to be complicated. So, what is, for the person listening right now, what's one thing that they can do today or tomorrow to start turning their life around?
I love this question. And well, I want to say two different things, because one is so simple that people will roll their eyes, and that's drink more water. Like, it is shocking to me how little water people drink when I do surveys.
Water or water with electrolytes?
So I understand it depends on how much water you drink as to how much you would actually need to add electrolytes. And I am not talking about Gatorade or even
Right.
liquid IV, a pinch of sea salt if you are drinking a lot of water. But most people aren't drinking half their body weight in ounces of water a day, let alone enough that they are, electrolyte deficient due to water consumption. That's my take on electrolytes. It's something, a pinch of sea salt in your every other glass of water. If you truly do get to your half of your body weight in ounces of water a day, then I think a pinch of sea salt's the way forward for that.
Is there a particular sea salt that you use or that you recommend?
I don't have a particular brand, to be honest. I just, depending on where you are, you just want to pick the Himalayan sea salt is what I usually do. They have like a million different ones anymore, but where I'm from, I do Himalayan sea salt and make sure that there's nothing else on the ingredient list besides Himalayan sea salt, right? There's no
Okay.
anti-caking agent, because there are some of those in different salts. So
Yeah. And you
that
are
would
out in
be,
Washington.
I'm in
You're out on the
Washington,
West
yes.
Coast.
Yeah. Yeah. The second thing, well, yeah, there's so many things. The other thing that I think is really helpful, and some people might already be doing this, is really protecting, if you can, in the ways that you can, the first hour of your day. So I know that for myself as a chef, my whole life has been 24/7 work. Like, I go to bed sleeping it. I think about it. I dream about it. I write lists in my head. I woke up, but if I'm thinking about sustainable health, the idea that how you start your day is how your day is going to go. So
Mm-hmm.
if you start your day the way I used to, which was, I was already running before I even got out of bed. Like I had already run a marathon in my sleep, and I'm getting up and just keeping it going. So I would say if you can protect your first hour, meaning that you wake up, you drink a glass of water to start before you have any coffee. You don't look at your phone for the first hour, right? You eat protein, 30 grams of protein within the first 30 minutes so that you're starting with your blood sugar calm. If you can have any sort of 10-minute movement, whether that's stretching or journal writing or just breath work, breathing in, 4 up, 4 hold, 4 out breath, and 4 hold again, that box breathing, something like that, just to get your nervous system started calmly. And then before you get to your first email and you write you look at your phone in a notebook or on a piece of paper, something, write down the most important thing that you need to accomplish today. Like the one thing that you're like, I need to get this done before you let the cloud of all sorts of people that want your attention. If
Yeah.
you can hone in on what's truly important for you to accomplish that day, and then, breathe into looking at your phone or all the other things. If you can secure that hour, everything else will be starting from a calmer system, a calmer brain, and, your heart and mentality will be
Yes.
calmer for it.
I love that. You're reiterating everything that I have been doing the past 6, 7 months, and makes me feel better. It's like, okay, yeah, I am on the right path. Hearing you say that, it's like, perfect. Check, check, check. But I mean, it's true. Those things do make a difference. Which as soon as you get up, if you're starting with watching the news, I don't
Oh
watch the
gosh, yeah.
news. It makes my nervous
Stressful.
system spiral. It makes me spiral out of control. And it's like I can feel my body tense up, or getting on social media and just, that doom scrolling, that quick swipe. Um, the Since I changed how I start my day, I start it with gratitude. It's like, today is such an amazing day. Like today, I woke up and I'm like, I am so excited for today. I get to have two amazing conversations. I get to learn. I get to pick their brains, and it's just going to be a really great day. I'm super excited for this. And I think by starting your day off like that, or with the water and lemon, and doing journaling or gratitude or devotionals, meditation, starting your day off on the right foot where it's just you. You're
Right.
setting your purpose, you're setting your intention for the rest of the day. And it's like you come from a more grounded mind, a more grounded nervous system. It's like you just think about things differently.
No, for sure. You'll filter the information and everything that comes your way through that calm and through that uh, alignment.
Mhm.
When you start with go before doing any of those things, your nervous system it doesn't know the difference, right? They talk about that all the time, that your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real threat and one you've created by design in the way that you do your morning. So if you can really harness the choices that you can make in the morning, and again, like Method 52's concept, it doesn't mean that you're going to do all of those 5 things, but if you can start with a glass of water as soon as you get out of bed, or if you can start with a prayer or whatever it is that will, for gratitude, or for, putting out into the world the positivity that you want to receive that day. Those automatically, you just need to do one. You don't need to do them all for it
Right.
to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Cathy, I loved this conversation.
Thank
This
you.
was
I did
so
too.
good.
Really appreciate coming on here and getting to speak with you about everything. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Our time went by. I feel like it just flew by. So, website method52.com. You're also on LinkedIn. I'm going to have all of your links in the show notes. So, make it nice and easy for the listener, the audience, to just go and click on your information, take you right to your website or LinkedIn. And then I'm going to, as soon as I do my quiz, I'm going to email you.
Great.
Like, here's my result. Here's what I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah. Let's see what your thoughts are as far as the description of where you are right now, and what sort of things you should focus on when it comes to those 5 pillars of health, because they all act together.
They do. They do. And I mean, who does not like a quiz?
Right?
Honestly, who doesn't like a quiz, right? We can find more about ourselves. I think it's amazing. I love that. So, all right, Cathy, thank you so much for being on the Goalpreneur podcast for this conversation. It was enlightening. I'm excited to visit your website again and do the quiz. And I will put all of the links right in the show notes. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too.
All right, we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.